Hi everyone, today we are learning about physical and chemical changes. So things can change two different ways. The first is physical, the second is chemical, and so we're going to talk about those two different ways of changing and the differences between them. Okay, first we're going to start with physical changes. So when things change in a physical way, when a substance changes in a physical way, the original substance is going to remain even though it may change state or shape. And remember, state is going to be our solid, liquid, gas, right? Or shape could be just change in any shape. No new substance is formed, and normally it can be reversed. So an example of this is melting ice. So if you melt ice, you've got solid ice melts into liquid water, right? But if you look at the particles of ice and both liquid water, you're going to find that the particles are all made up of H2O. So there's H2O molecules bonded together. So this is not a new substance then, that's what I'm trying to say. So even though it's changing state, it's still just water molecules, right? Now, chemical change is different. The original substance in a chemical change is changed into one or more different substances. So a new substance is produced here. These substances have different properties than the original substance and usually cannot be reversed. An example of this would be a car door rusting. So rust is iron oxide. So what's happening is the iron, the door is being oxidized into iron oxide, which is rust. So it's a new substance. Normally, chemical changes are not reversible. Sometimes they are, but in the case of rust, they are not. You can't reverse rusting. Once something is rusted, it's forever rusted. Now, there are signs. How do we determine which one is a chemical and which one is a physical change? So signs of a chemical change, the first one here is bubbles of gas. So if you ever have, this is an example of that, if you ever have a chemical reaction and you see lots of these little bubbles, these bubbles are trapped, these are gas molecules in here that are being produced. And that would be a sign of a chemical change. Another one, heat loss or a heat gain. Light emission. So for example, if you have a candle burning, that would be a chemical change because there's light being emitted. There's also heat there as well. Color changes are a sign of chemical changes. And if we look, we've got this example here. So we've got two clear liquids coming together and they're making this really dark burgundy color here. So that's a sign of a chemical change. And the last one here is called a precipitate. And I'm going to demo this for you in class when you're next in. So this would be when you take two liquids and you pour them together and you end up with a solid, which is a pretty cool thing. So I'll show you that. So that is also a sign of a chemical change. Now, physical properties. Now, properties, when we use the word properties in science, we're talking about describing things. So how do we describe things? So we have physical properties and we have some chemical properties. So color, texture, so texture would be how something feels, odor, how it smells, luster, this is going to be how shiny something is, clarity, this would be how clear something is, how something tastes, the state of matter is going to be solid, liquid, or gas, how hard something is, and then solubility is how much you can dissolve. So how much you can dissolve in a certain substance, right? So in water, for example. And things have different abilities, right? Some things you can dissolve a lot of, others not so much. Density, this is mass per volume. So how much does something weigh for a certain amount of it? So these things are all physical properties here. We also have chemical properties. We're only going to learn about three. So combustibility is our first one, and combustibility is just how well something burns. Reactivity, how well something reacts. And we talked about the different families the other day and how that was related to their reactivity. So how well something reacts. And the third one we're going to look at is toxicity. So toxicity is how poisonous something is. And that's going to be our chemical properties there. Okay, your short video today, your assignment is going to be the worksheet on physical and chemical changes. So take a look, give those a try, and we'll go through that next class and do some demos as well. Thanks, everyone.